It's not like I did anything that wrong. Is it my fault Joe Sixpack can't read a prospectus? The crazy thing was just a dodge. Thought the worst a guy like me could get was a club fed. Not this. So, how'd you wind up here, Dumpty? What's your story?
Do you want to hear my story, Mr. Fish? Really? Oh, okay. Let me see. Long ago, there was a magical place, a storybook land called Gotham. Into this world, baby Humphrey was born, so cheerful and sunny side up. He had a nice mother, father, and home, and even a tail-wagging pup. But foes will break.
Sorry, wrong house. Oops.
And wheels go round, and people slip and break their crowns. Though child services knew what to do, they left me with Grandma, who lived in a shoe. She taught me to cobble amazingly quick by lessons applied with a large knotted stick.
Faster!
Honestly, Mr. Fish, after a while, I grew to accept these little bumps in my path. After all, I thought, if life is always getting worse, then right now is never all bad. A happy thought that served me well. Well, up until that fateful day, I was on my way to old Gotham Bay to buy a spool of bootlace when clippity-clop the train passed my stop, spitting up dust in my face. Yes, Mr. Fish, it was a little thing. I know it wasn't like my home was being wrecked, or a run-over pet, or parents dead in a ditch, or trapped in a shoe, and beat black and blue by some naughty, mean old witch. But it was something. And over time, a little something can become that one thing. And you just have to know why? Why does this happen to me? Lucky for me, there was a place that had all the answers. Books. You can find the answer to almost anything in the right book, Mr. Fish. So that day, I checked out and read every book I could find about trains. And that night, I found that train, took every piece of its brake assembly apart, studied it, and put it back together. Down at the station, early in the morning, see the little pufferbellies all in a row. I knew that if I could see how it worked, I'd know why it was working against me. And do you know what, Mr. Fish? The next day that train rushed right past my stop again. This time, though, it flew right off the rails, made a horrible mess.
I tried to get everybody off in time.
It's okay, Batgirl. The paramedics are saying everyone should pull through. We were just lucky you were on board.
Well, this line is on my way to where I was going.
My luck was finally changing. It was a good thing that train hadn't let me on that day. After all, most of the people on that train were crippled for life. Very sad. But these things happen. Push, push, push. All my life I could feel forces at work trying to knock me down. Oh, and I'd been dealt some harsh blows, Mr. Fish. But it was the tiny nudges that began to unsettle me. Oh, here a gaff and there a glitch. By day, I'd sit and idly twitch. But by night, I'd fix every switch, lever and cog and spring. And come the dawn, at cock's first crow, with all my pieces in a row, I'd put them back where they should go, and no one knew a thing. And anything that irked me so, by moonlight I reworked it so, removing any quirk and so, that no one knew a thing. It was a glorious time, Mr. Fish. Every problem became a chance to break a thing down and learn how its insides work. But there was one time when the thing learned something about me. My card! It ate my card! Need money for a spool of thread. Money for a needle! That's the way the money goes. I took that cash machine apart that night and put it back together. And the very next day, reports from all over town. Gotham Mutual Insta-tellers are continuing to spew out $20 bills. Police will neither confirm nor deny that masked vigilantes are helping to quell the ensuing riots.
Don't just sit there, you worthless lump. Go out and grab some of that cash.
But Grandma, that'd be wrong. My grandma wasn't the only one who was mad at me. You see, I forgot that most of those banking machines had cameras. The next day, my picture run upstairs, downstairs, all around the town. They called me Humpty Dumpty, the super saboteur of Gotham. I was in big trouble, Mr. Fish, and I didn't know what to do. I had to get out of there, Mr. Fish. So I spent every cent, every bill and last note for a trip out to sea in a wee pea green boat ready to set sail that day. There was no going home once I left for the dock. Too excited to sleep, I stared out at the clock across from old Gotham Bay. There were no fond farewells as I went to the pier. I was ready to go, but to my greatest fear, my wee ship had sailed away. That rotten clock tower was off by an hour. I would have to see it right. Climbing up to the gears, I held back all my tears and wound the works good and tight. But when the clock struck 1, the real trouble begun, as one of the hands took flight. There were crashes through all Gotham town. Ashes, they all fell down.
Just great. The sky's falling. Something tells me the super saboteur is at it again. Let's look out! That was outstanding, dear. Outstanding? Of course. Why didn't I think of that before? I've been going about this all wrong. All this time, the answer's been right under my nose.
Some people can put the pieces together so easily, but not me, Mr. Fish. I try as hard as I can, but everything I touch falls apart. I used to love those big silly toys we had up on our rooftops. They made Gotham look like a Christmas parade or a scene from a children's storybook. They were fun. And now, thanks to me, they're all gone.
Wait a minute, that was you? You're the reason the state Senate passed the Sprang Act? You're why we can't have those things in our skyline? That's what you got sent to Arkham?
Oh no, I did something far worse. And by the time Batgirl tracked me down...
Hold it right there, Humpty Dumpty.
What? Oh my! It was already too late.
Wait, don't stop there. What happened next?
Oh right, Batgirl came tumbling after.
Gotcha.
Pulled both her arms out of her sockets. She just hung there like a little rag dolly.
Get away from me. Don't.
Good thing I was there to put her back together. Batgirl had figured out who I was and where I lived, and by looking at my outstanding library finds.
Only one person in Gotham used the public library to check out books. On trains, elevators, roadways, banking, and clocks. But I have to know, Mr. Dumpler, why did you check out a copy of Grey's Anatomy? Why?
She asked nice enough. So I took her home and showed her.
Oh, dear God.
It was for Grandma, of course. She was just so awful. Something inside her had to be broken. So I took her apart and put her back together again. I didn't do such a good job, but I'm getting better. See?
That's nice, Humpty, but what I don't get is why me? You're very happy here, so you're not after my money or what I can do for you. Yet you saved me from Two-Face and Death Rattle. You took me in. Why?
Honestly, Mr. Fish, I think you're the worst man I've ever met. And I just know if I give it my all, I can get in there and fix you. Good night, Mr. Fish.